viewers. My name is Fumi Falado. I'm the coordinator of Women Empowerment and Legal Aid, a non-governmental organization that defends the rights of women and children in Nigeria. This is our weekly program where we discuss the rights of women and children under the laws of the country. This evening we will be discussing acts of domestic violence against women in the society. Now, acts of domestic violence are not limited to women, but mostly perpetrated against women in our society. And any acts of violence that occur in a home setting, that occur between people living together in a home, such an act is called domestic violence. It can be a physical abuse, it can be emotional abuse, it can be sexual abuse, it can be wife battery, it can be starvation, it can be denial of economic rights, it can be nagging, it can be a form of harassment or intimidation. Every act that puts the other party in an uncomfortable situation in the home, such an act is called an act of violence. And it could be, like I said, against anybody living in a home setting. So it could be against a woman, it could be against a man, it could be against the children in the home, it could also be against domestic workers living together in the home setting. Now, there are laws against domestic violence, but there is a particular law that was made in 2007. This law is called Law Against Domestic Violence in Lagos State. This law is a Lagos State law, and anybody living in Lagos State can take advantage of this law. The law seeks to protect marriage. It does not seek to dissolve marriages. So it is not a law of divorce or dissolution of marriages, but it is a law to rehabilitate homes. Now, who can apply under this law? A man or a woman or a child or domestic worker, anybody living in a home setting can apply under this law. Should a marriage exist before you can take advantage of this law? The answer is no. It does not matter whether you are married or not, as long as you are living together in the home. It also does not matter whether your marriage was contracted in Lagos State or even in Nigeria. It could be a marriage that was contracted in America or in UK. As long as you are husband and wife, or as long as you are cohabiting together in a home, you can take advantage of this law. Now, how do you apply? You can apply under this law by filing an action in a Lagos State court. Your matter will therefore be assigned to a family court. Now, the fact is that in this society, it is the woman that is always at the receiving end. And so usually the woman will take an action to court to file against the acts of abuse that is being perpetrated against her. Now, if it is a man, but in our experience, we have discovered that only a very tiny percentage of the people that have reported acts of domestic violence are men. In other words, acts of violence is usually perpetrated against women in the society. When the case is filed in a Lagos State High Court or in a Lagos State Court, it could be assigned before a magistrate court or a high court, depending on the facts of the case. But usually, it will be assigned to a family court. Now, the court will therefore make an order, the ones we call protective orders. The order, there are different orders the court can make. The court can make an order to remove the perpetrator of the violence from the home. And the man or the woman, whoever is perpetrating the violence, will be taken away from the home and will be monitored for a particular period of time pending the time he or she comes back to his senses. And during this period, several others could also be made, demand could be asked to pay a particular sum of money to maintain the home, pay for the feeding and the house rent and the maintenance of the home while the case subsists. Now, while the case is subsisting, a monitoring officer will be assigned to monitor the parties, and a police officer will be required to serve the order on the perpetrator of the offense. Now, we have also discovered that under this law, the police has a lot of role to play. The court has a lot of roles to play. The society has a lot of roles to play. The counselor or the monitoring officer has a lot of roles to play in maintaining and in also rehabilitating the two parties. Now, we also want to let women know that this law exists. This law has been existing since 2007. But unfortunately, most people do not know that such a law exists in Lagos State. Women have been suffering in silence. They have been going through different acts of abuse in the homes without anybody to report to or without knowing that they have solution. The solution is that you can report such act to your lawyer or to a non-governmental organization, a human rights body, who can take your action to court. Women in the home are partners. I want to let men know that your wife at home is your partner. Your wife at home is your friend. You are contemporaries in that home, and so she should be treated as such. A woman in that home, your wife in that home, is not an article. She is not a chattel, and she's not less important than the man there. And so women should be respected because the rights, the laws of this country have given unto men, have also been given unto women. Every human being, every person is equal before the laws of this country. And so a girl child in that home is not less important than a boy child. Do not send your wife away because she has not been able to give you a boy child. Your girl child can become the president of this country tomorrow. Your girl child can become the governor of your state. Your girl child can become a medical doctor. Your girl child can become the senator of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Your girl child can become a lawyer like myself. Your girl child is not less important than the boy child. So please train your girl child and respect the rights of the girl child. The wife has been able to give you a girl child who is just as important as the boy child. Please treat your girl child as well as you would treat your boy child. Now, the woman in the home is your partner, and the woman in the home has equal right to everything in the home, just like you have. She has equal rights to the children of the home, and so you should respect her rights. Now, what is the role of the police under this law? Next week, when we come back, we will look at the role of the police. We will look at the role of the courts. We will also look at the role of the monitoring or the counselor, the monitoring officer or the counselor in rehabilitating homes under this law. But I want to let women know that there is a law that protects you. So if you are undergoing any form of abuse, either physical, emotional, or even economic, denial of economic rights, or the man brings another woman home to harass you, please do not hesitate to press for your right under this law. Do not wait until you die in that home. Speak out when you are undergoing any abuse. We have also discovered that acts of domestic violence is not limited to a status or to an ethnic group or to a race. We have discovered that even very educated people perpetrate acts of violence. We remember an ambassador that was recalled because he beat his wife sometimes. We remember the king, the Oba of a town that had his wife beaten up. We also remember a banker that was killed by her husband. We also notice that on a daily basis, conductors, Okada riders, Molue drivers beat their wives very, very regularly. So it does not matter whether you are educated or not. It depends on the orientation of the man. The acts of violence is rooted in the hearts of men, and it must be taken away from their hearts. I want to remind you that women's rights are human rights, and please respect the rights of the woman. It is against the law to abuse that woman. It is against the law to violate the rights of that woman. It is against the law to maltreat that woman. Until next week, I want to wish you a wonderful time. Please respect the rights of the wife at home and the rights of the girl child. I want to wish you well, and I say thank you.